porque aí consegue acompanhar melhor a palestra, ok? Hoje eu estava dando uma volta com ele aqui pelo evento, ele está realmente super impressionado. Obviamente que eu já tinha feito um call com ele, explicado um pouco da Campus Party, e ele me confessou que está surpreendido positivamente, que ele não esperava tantos jovens disruptivos juntos aqui pensando, trabalhando em conjunto. Então, acho que é um tema super legal, venham para cá. Então, vamos dar um tempo aí para o pessoal pegar os radinhos. O pessoal está ali já se posicionando, pegando os radinhos, até para que a palestra não comece. Ok, Eric, just a few minutes that the people are taking the translator radio. So, vamos esperar que todo mundo possa pegar, assim todo mundo vai poder assistir a palestra aqui do Eric Drome no palco principal. E lembrando que no final da palestra, quem quiser tirar fotos com ele, ele vai se posicionar aqui ao lado para tirar fotos com vocês. Quem tiver interesse, ele vai ficar aqui um pouco no backdrop da Campus Party para poder tirar umas selfies, levar uns recuerdos para casa. Então, quem quiser pegar, vocês estão chegando agora, ali tem os radinhos de tradução simultânea, se quiserem pegar para facilitar a compreensão com a palestra. Então, vamos só dar o tempo aí para as pessoas deixarem documento, pegar os radinhos e se preparar para a palestra principal aqui no palco What's Next. Quem está chegando agora, se quiser pegar radinho de tradução simultânea, é ali ao lado da cabine de tradução simultânea, tem os radinhos para que possa compreender melhor a palestra, ok? Então, pessoal que está chegando aqui, agora é um momento de palestra principal, assim como ocorreu hoje mais cedo com o Dado Schneider, ontem com a Camila Farani. A gente para os outros palcos para que no palco principal esteja com toda a atenção e os nossos palestrantes principais estejam recebendo toda a atenção dos campuseiros. Então, quem quer participar, vem aqui para o palco principal, já pega o radinho de tradução simultânea. Quem está aqui na frente há algum tempo não aguenta mais eu falar a mesma coisa, mas continuarei repetindo, como se fosse uma máquina de telemarketing, uma pessoa. Quando você liga para um serviço querendo resolver alguma coisa e não consegue resolver nada, e aquela pessoa insuportável do outro lado da linha continua repetindo a coisa sem parar, e você quer mandar ela para aquele lugar. Aí a gente lembra daquele quadro do Fábio Porchat falando da Judite querendo cancelar a linha do TIM, que ele não consegue de jeito nenhum, porque te enganaram e você não consegue. Já que todo mundo te enganaram e você não consegue cancelar. Já que todo mundo já está a postos, e eu tenho a honra de apresentar ele, que é futurólogo, trabalha na Volvo com mobilidade urbana e educação, e hoje passou um sufoco, porque eu tinha falado para ele que ele ia palestrar amanhã, mas a gente tinha anunciado hoje, e ele chegou do hotel e mesmo assim topou vir falar hoje. É um amor de pessoa. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Eric Drome. Oh, sorry.
No, it's a continuance of the day today.
Just one thing. Eric asked me if I allow him to swear on the stage, because he's like to swear me today because the little problem, but I allow him to swear me. That's no problem, Eric.
So,
thank you very much. Welcome.
Believe me, this is the last place I was planning to stand on today. The agreement is that I'm talking tomorrow. And then I'm getting a phone call, 3 o'clock, I fucked up. You have to come today. I just flew 24 hours. I landed, I got to the hotel, the room is not ready. I'm begging for breakfast because I don't know if you ever tried airplanes, hotels. Come and do a talk today. But here's the thing. Brazil was on my bucket list since I was this old, and I've never been. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be fucking tired standing on the stage today. And then I came to this place, and you know, I've been in so many events in my life, and this place blew my mind. I could never imagine a more colorful, welcoming entrance for myself to energize me. Another interesting thing is when I first got the phone call, hey, do you want to come and speak on campus party? Yes, where is it? Brazil? Absolutely. What do you want me to talk about? We want you to talk about autonomous driving cars. You worked at Volvo, talk about autonomous driving cars. Fuck no. That's boring. Why do you bring me all the way from Sweden to speak about autonomous driving cars? I want to talk about Cool Town. Oh, you mean smart city? No, I mean fucking Cool Town. But everyone talk about smart cities. Yeah, so where do you want to live? Do you want to live in a smart city or do you want to live in a cool town? Do you want to drive a Volvo or do you want to drive a Tesla? I mean, there is something interesting about cities, about towns. This is where innovation really started. If you go all the way back to where humanity started to evolve, we didn't bounce with innovation and development until we move to urban structures. Cities are the cradle of human innovations. Nations evolved way after that. But we are stuck. We are talking about smart cities. What happened when we talk about smart first and the object later? We start to focus on technology. So smart cities are wrapped with sensors. They are wrapped with gadgets. We put autonomous driving cars. We put electric buses on the road. We put sensors everywhere. Technology comes first. Smartphones is the technology. Does any one of you use the phone for its, why do you fucking call it a pocket computer? Because you don't really call to anyone anymore. Smart TV. Why is it TV? You just stream all the time. There is nothing. Whenever we put smart in front of something else, we lose the purpose of the object. And that's why I don't like to talk about smart cities, but I rather talk about cool towns. You know, the idea of smart cities is not something new. We like to think AI is something fucking new. It's from now. By the way, every time I say fuck and I don't translate, raise your hand and say, translate. Okay? AI is not new. The idea of AI goes all the way back to the Greek with Talos. We always wanted something bigger than us to justify our existence. We created God later on. But smart cities the same are not new. This is, you know, Metropolis from 1927. We always had this idea of a lot of cars driving on the road and cool things flying around. That's how we see smart cities. And when you know, few of these ones I generated with an AI, few of them other people generated with an AI. I think one of them is an artist that actually did. And we can see it's capturing our dreams, how the cities of the futures are going to look like. It actually terrifies me when more than 2/3 of the world population already lives in cities. Because if everyone lives in cities, who is actually doing farming? Because, you know, our food comes out of the city, but we do have 3D printing foods right now. There are a lot of challenges with this urbanization movement, but it's still captivating us. And we see mind-blowing designs of how the future cities are going to look like. From vertical gardens and hanging bridges to flying drones, autonomous driving cars. You know, we are packing our cities with technologies. I can just stand on this stage until tomorrow, which I was supposed to actually stand and speak, and just talk about this slide, about what's happened in technology today. And you know, if you just walk around here, you see the glimpses all around. Robots is not science fiction anymore. Autonomous driving cars are not science fictions anymore. Computation power. You know, I had the privilege of listening to Obama a few years back in Colombia, and he's taking his phone out of the pocket and repeating the mantra, kids today has more power in their smartphone than NASA had when they put astronauts on the moon. Yeah, but the kids are fucking lazy today. They don't want to read. I mean, NASA used a more powerful computer to put, what do you do, TikTok? I mean, so computation power is not really a good example, but we do have enormous amount of computation power today. We have code that can take us beyond anything we can ever imagine. Raise your hand, how many of you actually interacted with ChatGPT? How many of you try AI interfaces? What code is capable of doing today is equal to everything we have done in history until now. The amount of data we are generating is bigger than any time before in history. And I love how everyone is talking about big data. Let's collect big data. Let's have bigger and bigger, more and more data. Here's a secret. It doesn't matter how big your data mountain is, if you cannot ask one meaningful question to it, it doesn't have any value. Zero. Sometimes the smallest amounts of data that you can ask irrelevant questions give you the most amount of value. We do have mind-blowing technologies. I don't know if you follow. This is a Dutch guy that got paralyzed in a car accident. And we have neuro implants today that are capable of bypassing nerve damage. And this is the first iteration of how these technologies are going to look like. Imagine of how people say, oh, I don't put an implant. This is something I don't do. I have a cheap implant. It's really useless, yes. When you scan it, it just takes you to Pornhub. Why? Because everyone knows that if I have a chip, they want to scan it and they want to see what happens. So Pornhub's happen on their phone. I just like to see people's faces. But yes, I can program it to open my door. In Sweden, I can put my train card on that, but not more than that. But the seed is already there. And let me remind you that pacemaker goes all the way back to the 50s, and that is a piece of technology you do put in your body. So when the value is there, you do integrate technology. And that story is mind-blowing, what we can actually do with technology and where we can take it today. And when you look about, you know, the progress and things we are going to encounter, I know that the first one is, you know, VR, AR will become fundamental to everyday life. I'm not sure that Apple Snorkel is, you know, I'm counting on that. But we do see huge advances in computation power and AR and VR, and these technologies will become more and more essential part of our life. I'll jump all the way almost to the end. Apparently it's cut. All the way to where nanotechnology will be integrated with material science, and we will be able to see in 2070 houses that can restructure themselves, spaces that can restructure themselves based on the needs. And we say, oh, this is science fiction, will never happen. You already today have electrostatic speakers that can create sound umbrellas. By the way, it's a very good thing for campus party just to have electrostatic speakers that can, you know, create sound isolations from the different hubs that exist here. But that exists today, you can buy it. It doesn't cost a lot of money. I know if you have ever, we have 4 kids. Well, 3 of them not living in the house anymore, so that makes me very old. But when we used to drive with them in the car, I wish to have an electro speaker in the back seat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? No, you can just isolate it. So to jump from there to breakthrough in material science that enable us to integrate nanotechnology, that's not so far-fetched. The problem is that we cannot see beyond our next like in the TikTok video. Many people ask me, what's the job you do as a futurologist? Well, I have a lot of fun to talk about, you know, I cherry pick only the things that actually interest me. But the idea is to look potentials, understand how technologies today can actually shape our future. And when we are able to do that, we're able to capture huge amount of potential, as long as we really focus on the value rather than technology. You know, there are few artists that I like to follow. All of these are generated by AI. The shoes were, and the suitcase were actually printed. But it's mind-boggling what we can actually design today. And then design is, you know, one of the most crucial elements of us understanding and envisioning the future. I love how they integrate their passion and creativity into what they actually design. But one thing's really bugs me. Whenever we talk about smart cities, smart things, smart cars, all of these beautiful smart designs, there are no fucking humans in any of the images. Do a search in Google and look for smart cities of the future. Look how many close-up of people you have in these images. 0. Because we forgot the humans when we are talking about technology. So who is going to live in the city of the future? The robots, the sensors? Because we are building cities for technologies. We are building smart schools for technologies. Now they're talking about one of the, biggest breakthrough for AI is to take over the education system. What about the fucking students? What are they supposed to do if the future is about technology and not about humans? And we keep focusing in our cities only on technologies. Now, they asked Einstein, if you remember the speed of sound. Was it sound? Yes. He says, why should I fucking care? I can find that information in books. And it's so true if you really think about it. What are you being taught in schools today? To memorize facts? To memorize numbers? To come up with the right answer? How many schools are actually teaching you to use your brain as a thinking tool? And the same way that Einstein answer hinted that school should be to teach us how to use our brains rather than memorize facts that exist in books, smart cities should not focus on technologies. They should focus on how do we use technologies to nurture the people around. I've been trying to engage with Campus Party for many years now. So it's extremely humbling experience to be here. For one reason, humans are in the fucking center. I've been in so many conferences, go to CES, go to South by Southwest, technologies. It's all human around. Yes, you're showing technologies, but the purpose is to put you in the middle. And not many places are actually doing that. And we are shifting more and more away from humanity at the end of the day. We need to foster our humanity. I like to publish very thought-provoking articles that make people uncomfortable. So I decided to tackle the green energy narrative a few months back. And I decided to pick up on Greta. Sweden, I mean, it's really easy target. Not that I don't have any respect. I don't know her, I cannot respect her, she cannot I have no idea who she is. But I found that productifying a 16 years old in the name of green energy, where we have been miserable through the years of harvesting, storing, and converting any natural resources that we came across. Oh, let's use natural resources, green energy. What do you think oil is? Oil is not natural resources. We will all be oil a few thousand years from now. Our ancestors are going to become oil. Oil is a natural resource exactly like coal, exactly like solar, exactly like wind, like rain, like the waves. But we have been miserable harvesting, storing, and converting resources into energy. So I don't see any promises that we are going to do something different with solar energy or with hydrogen or any other natural resources, because we are always looking for the shortcut. And guess what? We have one more important natural resources on the planet that we are not tapping into, and we have been neglecting it over and over again. And that's human potential. We are not harvesting our potential, not our school systems, not our governance systems, not our societies. We are leaving it behind. And if we are neglecting us, so what we can expect with other resources that exist out there? And that's the big challenge that we have today when we are looking into, let's put technologies over there. I mean, yeah, I don't need to talk about cars because I mean, this is the new hype in the technology right now. Electric cars. Autonomous driving electric cars. That's great. How many of you have electric car? I have one. It's not an auction. No one is going to punish you. Okay? I don't drive an electric car until the range is like 1,200 kilometers, which what my current car is giving me. Don't get me wrong. Electric propulsion is the future. I don't have any argument on that. Not the current technology. And that's the problem that I have, that we are packing our roads with technology that is going to be outdated a few years from now, and we have no idea what to do with that technology when we move forward. But here is another interesting. Brazil has one of the most strangest cities that decided to pave 70 kilometers of road. I'm not going to mention it by name. And when you pave 70 kilometers of extra roads, you have 70 kilometers of extra cars. And here is another secret. It doesn't matter if you drive Tesla, BMW, if you drive an electric fucking spaceship, okay? In the eyes of the traffic jams, you're all fucking equal. Because everyone's standing the same in the traffic jam. Electric car is not the solution for city. The cost of congestions for London in 2015 was £4 billion. Cost of congestion. What's the cost of congestions here? An electric car doesn't solve your congestion. It's just put another engine on the congestion. You need to rethink GDP model when you're thinking about smart cities before you're deploying technologies on the road. It doesn't make any sense. And here's I did some project. There is no scientific background to what I'm going to say right now, so you cannot hang me. But I did some project with students in California. And we tried to imagine one of the neighborhoods in California moving to electric cars. You know what was the first thing that happened? What was the first conclusion? It was quiet. Great. I love quiet. I spend most of my time outside. I love quiet. What was the second thing that happened? Do you know what was the first thing that the noise of the car pushed out of the cities? Rats. Do you know what's the first thing that is coming into the city when you don't have noise? Rats. Are we prepared to handle with the consequences? Because putting a technology in place without catering for the domino effect, for the byproducts, doesn't make any sense. How many of you have TikTok? Raise your hand. Now you come on. Oh, okay. Do you know what's the byproduct of TikTok? Attention span of 1.3 seconds. That's our global attention span, 1.3 seconds. I was so happy a few years ago to speak about humanity attention span of being 8 seconds and saying goldfish has 9 seconds. Now we went to 1.3 seconds. You want consequence of technology? Free will. You think you have free will? You think you fucking decide about your next video that you are clicking on? No. Algorithms decide that, not you. Because algorithms decide everything for us today. Amazon has a brilliant business model for algorithms where they are sending diapers to neighborhoods where they know that they have kids before anyone even ordered the diaper. And when you click Amazon Prime diaper, half an hour after, magic. No fucking magic. No. Algorithms. Our data. And that's a byproduct of having technology over here. Everyone told me in Brazil, you need to work with WhatsApp. I don't work with WhatsApp. I work with Signal. I don't even have normal Android on my phone. I'm running Graphene OS. I'm running Fedora as my operating system. My data is my data. But in Brazil, you need to do business with WhatsApp. No. You will go to Signal if you want to work with me. But the byproduct of technology is you. You are the product. We are the product. And I'm not coming to judge, good or bad. You want to use TikTok? Use TikTok. But be aware what's the consequences of using technology the way we use technology. Funny enough, Stanford, and that is a Stanford research, came out 3 days ago, 4 days ago, says that if everyone will charge their electric cars during the night, the cost of electricity in that neighborhood will increase by 25%. I'm like, wait. When do we need to use cars? During the day. No, the research says you have to charge them during the day, but I need the car during the day. And here is another problem. Let's put electric cars on the road. Can your grid support that? Does your pricing scheme for the utility provider can support an increase by even 10% of electric cars on the streets of this city? And the answer is no. Because we are rushed. We live in a bling-bling society. Most policymakers that I met, most politicians, most decision makers, bling-bling, pop stars, electric cars, autonomous driving cars, let's fucking put it. But the infrastructure doesn't support it. How do we build city today? Do you know how do we build city? We pave a road. That's the first thing we do before we do anything in a city. We put a fucking road in the middle. Do you know that the dimension of the road that we build our future cities date all the way back to the Roman horse and carriage? The dimension of the road is the distance between two horses' asses, because that's how they build the carriage behind it. That is not scalable into a digital reality. And we are packing an old infrastructure with newer and newer technology until there will come a tipping point and the infrastructure is going to collapse. And it is going to collapse. You cannot avoid that. More is not always good. You want to have autonomous driving cars in the cities? Great. The reason I don't like to talk about mobility, because I cannot talk about mobility without talking about the future of work, without talking about communications, without talking about education. Rethink the labor model you have in the city before you put autonomous driving cars on the road. Rethink the last mile and macro logistics before you're allowing startups to put electric scooters and creating environmental pollution. More technology is not really better because it's added to the space that is already occupied by us, by humans, and it's slowly pushing humans aside. We are living in a mixed reality. Like it or not, 90% of the people watch reality through a screen. That's how we define ourselves, that's how we consume content. It's a mixed reality. And the tipping point of the infrastructure failing point is approaching extremely fast right now. Technology should be transparent. Imagine that technology can actually be transparent, that it can kick in and give you an advice, give you a recommendation when it feels that you need that support. But never, never, never take away your wishes. We have to remain the masters of our wishes, because what we wish for is what we create, and wishes are the building block of creativity. Nothing here can exist without people's wishes. Nothing here can exist without people's dream. And if technology takes that, we need to rethink humanity from scratch. Otherwise, we are losing it. I mean, Goiânia is an extremely interesting city. I mean, it's a plant city. Not many cities on the planet are actually plant city. If I'm not mistaken, it's the only plant cities in Brazil, which give Goiânia an extremely interesting vantage point on how to expand from now on. I'll jump. Goiânia focus of education. Where have you been 10 years ago, where Goiânia is now? Second, you told me now. Second, the focus of education in this city, 10 times better than I've seen in San Francisco. Well, San Francisco is garbage, but New York, for example. Yes, I don't afraid to say what I think. San Francisco is garbage. It is. You have more green spaces than almost any other city in Brazil. You have my voice. I spend most of my time outside. Green spaces. We cannot have city without green spaces. It doesn't work. There is a very interesting focus on transportation. There is a thriving economy. And I really ate the best falafel today here, so really great. And probably, you know, I got a non-Brazilian dish, but you will pay for that later, I can imagine. Extremely interesting positioned city. And you need to take advantage of that. I was raised with my grandparents. My grandfather was everything for me. My grandfather survived the Holocaust. He was a football player. He was a judge. From this age, Pelé, 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 Pelé. That's the only thing I heard. I mean, there was not a single game that he didn't know about Pelé, not a single, from a very young age. And that's where I started. I need to fucking go to Brazil, right? Pelé is from Brazil. I need to see who is this wonder. And then I came across this guy. And I was shocked because no one ever talked about him except Pelé, right? A guy that was born with a disability, that his knees was not really in the right place, but made wonders for Brazilian football. I mean, I've seen an interview with Pelé that's saying that if he would have born with that disability, he would have never been able to be Pelé. So Brazil is both Pelé. Help me, I'm dyslexic, I'm very hard with names. How do you pronounce his name? Garrincha. See, being dyslexic, it's a blessing, by the way. Brazil is both. So when I heard I'm coming to Brazil, I decided to ask people, what do you think about Brazil? What do you know about Brazil? And I Googled, what does people know about Brazil? This is what America knows about Brazil. Soccer, they don't know what football is, so it's soccer. Beautiful women, crime. That's the three things American would tell you about Brazil, right? You ask people around Europe, Brazil, oh, they have these things, carnival, right? Yes. It's very favelas. We heard about the favelas in Brazil. You are the fucking queen of the Americas. Isn't that not time that you will behave like that? Notice that I says Americas in plural. I never understood what is Latin America and United States of America. There is white America and there is the rest of the Americas. That's how you should behave. That's how you should think about it. People think that Brazil is some disabled place because this political instability. This is what I know about Brazil. It's one of the most resilient countries in the world. Here's another thing about me. I love history. So before I go to a place, I dive into history. And Brazil is one of the most resilient places on the planet. You have cultural richness that is equal only to China and India. No wonder you are part of the BRICS. We'll get to the BRICS in a second. But you have cultural richness like no other place. Passion. I mean, seriously. The passion here is unbelievable. From the minute you land in the airport, that's the first thing that welcomes you, passion. And I know that in Brazil, everyone likes to complain, but you know, my wife is from Bulgaria, and Bulgaria also everyone likes to complain. But there is a lot of passion. There is a rhythm. And that was put there because my wife is a musician and she loves the Brazilian rhythm. There is a rhythm to this country. You have a natural beauty, and I'm very biased. I told you I love green spaces. And you have ambition. You just need to walk around here and see the ambitions that you have. If this is your disabilities, then fucking use them. And you have to use them because this is your future. See, it says very, very small, this is your future. I'm not here to tell you about your future. It's your country. You have to take your future in your hands. You have more natural resources in this country than the United States can ever imagine to have. You are part of a brilliant ecology that is called BRICS, and I'm not going into politics now. I'm going into the economic potential and resource collaboration with bricks. Don't try to build Silicon Valley in Brazil. Every country that ever tried to build Silicon Valley failed. You know why? Because Silicon Valley could have been built only in the 70s and only in Silicon Valley. It cannot be copied to any other place in the world. And you think Silicon Valley is a nice place? You're sitting in a one big traffic jam from Palo Alto all the way to San Francisco Airport. That's Silicon Valley. No. We need agriculture. We need the future of agriculture. I don't want to be a farmer. I'm not asking you to be a farmer, but agrotech is one of the most interesting subjects on the planet. Brazil should be the main hub for that. Don't buy autonomous driving cars and put them on the road here and contribute to someone else's GDP. Don't open a car factory for an American or European car brand here. Open a think tank that rethink mobility in the context of economic model and GDP. Export knowledge out of Brazil. Elon Musk said something extremely smart a few days ago. The current currency is not money anymore, it's information. And if that is information, that is what you need to foster. And that is your future. Whatever you are going to make out of it, not what you're going to put on the road that someone else made. You need to imagine it and take it. Is it easy? Hell no. Is it going to happen tomorrow? Absolutely not. Is this a 50 years journey? Just the beginning. But when the premier of China took over, he laid down 1,000 years strategy. Not 1,000 year strategy. And it's your job to start with the next 50 years and then give your kids the next 50 years and the next 50 years. Because you don't change education system or transportation system or urban system in 4 years lifespan of a politician on the chair. It's change in the long thinking, in a 50 years trajectory. And I will leave you with that. Thank you. Am I done? Dinner? Questions? Then I put 2 of them, okay. I guess no one listened that I said I don't want to use so much technology, so I'm getting another headphones.
Eric, congratulations. Very, very nice speech about everything. Thanks to
That's in Portuguese.
So,
What's the language?
yeah, I can go in Portuguese.
No, you can go, yeah.
Yeah.
Please, I will not answer.
Okay. So,
I need to change this to English. But I hear in Portuguese. Ah, thank you. Ah, perfect. I'm tired. Yes, sorry.
so congratulations once more. It's fantastic to hear such beautiful words about our country and our culture. And regarding the mobility itself, I think mobility, in Brazil nowadays, the transportation cost for the families in Brazil is higher than the food.
Yes.
So it's something unbelievable, How you see some new metrics about the mobility in this new era where the autonomous car and electric cars, as you say, we are just putting one old element in a new, different energetic model. You know, we are not switching anything else than just put the old one in a new version. You know, how you see how can we build a really nice smart cities in terms of transportation?
I mean, more than a few years ago in Mexico City, at that time the pollution reached extremely high level. So at that time they had like a fantastic idea. They're going to have a lottery and forbidden people to drive the car 1 day a week based on the lottery. And after 6 months, pollution increased. So they brought McKinsey to investigate, and they found out that the people that were forbidden to use their car during that day a week went and bought a really, really cheap old car for 1 day a week that they are not allowed to drive their car. So they kept the number of the car off the road, but they also increased the numbers of old cars on the road. And that's the problem that we see today. Autonomous driving cars are not going to solve a problem if you don't tackle the entire narrative of ownership and public transportation as part of that equation. It's work, it's education, and it's mobility that circulate around each other. And you need to, usually when I see cities, they're talking about let's solve mobility, let's solve education, let's solve work. But they need to be targeted together. Otherwise, nothing is going to be solved. I don't believe that anyone should own a car in a city. I think you can own a car if you want to drive out of the city. But in the city, you need to have a system that is so fluent that you don't need to walk more than 12 minutes. And I specifically say 12 minutes because that's the maximum that we are tuned to walk without getting upset and not being able to catch a certain type of transportation. Exactly. So you need to have an ecology between work, education, and mobility, and not have like 3 different ecosystems that are not connected to each other. That's the only way to solve it and to reduce the cost of movement. There is no other way around it.
Thank you very much. Perfect.
Hi there. Hi, good evening. Just have a question. What do you think your prospection for the 10 next years for AI, for the electric cars, for the next years, 10 next years?
AI or electric cars?
AI in electric cars,
AI
for
in
autonomous
electric
cars.
So I think we need to talk about AI before we talk about AI in electric cars. No one fucking know what AI is. I mean, it's umbrella, it's a philosophical abstract of so many technologies, but AI per se is not a technology. It's an idea that has computer vision on it. The dishwashing machine is a form of automation that replaced human action. If you have, I think for the past 10, 12 years, when you are driving in city safety in the car, inside of a city, and you get too close to the car in front of you, the car itself brake, that is an AI. It's a form of AI that acts. Tesla already today integrates smart algorithms to calculate, you're putting the destinations, you're putting the journey, and it's saying this is the stops, the charging stops, and it's bringing into account the average charging time, how much traffic, how many people are planned to charge them. So we see these things happening more and more and more. There are a lot of algorithms in cars today. There are even more algorithms in electric cars because of the so much more digital components you have in these cars. And we will see a linear growth, an incremental rise of this artificial algorithmic intelligence within electric cars based on services we are going to add into this environment. If you want to add concierge services, if you want to add geolocation services, all of this will require small algorithmic intelligence. I mean, the way there are around 200 new services on a weekly basis with an AI, and I would say around 15 of them relate to the automotive industry. So you will definitely see an increase more and more and more. Question is, what do you want to do with it?
I just think in production prospection for 10 next years, AI to production.
I mean, the next years we are not going to see anything radical. We are still, let's give you straight, any one of you that thinks to create a startup and revolutionize the world, 99% of revolutions happen in small incremental steps. Doesn't happen other ways. I like the formula of 90-10, 90% of the changes we are going to see in the next 3 years, small incremental improvement. 9% we are going to see radical changes, and 1% will be disruptive changes that will change the narrative of what is electric vehicle because of an AI. You will see, it's like you had iPhone 13, now you have iPhone 14. Then you have iPhone 15, then 16. That's exactly the model you're going to see with electric cars and AI.
Hello, I like to say congratulations for the speech. I love the way you think about the mobility and the way you say about, you made me think about how you see the city. I live in Guyana for almost 20 years, so I always say, this is not a great place, I want to go out. And you made me think more how you can use this for our opportunities, so I like to say thank you.
My pleasure.
In my city, Goiânia, since 2009, had decreased the number of people using public transportation. The actual problem had many cars on the street, many congestion. How the smart cities could help solve this?
Very brave politicians, assertive decisions. I mean, I would like to see more innovation happening more within the service mobility, not within, one company that I really like in Spain, they bought the oldest car on the market and rent them for people to drive recklessly. I love that approach to mobility. Not to say that I'm supporting that, but the idea of doing something else with what we have. So many older cars on the road that exist right now. You can develop a whole set of services around them, from micro-logistics for the first mile to the last mile. And innovation doesn't need to be in the form of a 17-inch screen in a car. It can be in a form that will increase GDP while remove pollution at the same time. That is not a technological solution. That is service innovations and the right policy. You cannot apply this for the entire city. You're going to miserably fail because it will take 10 years for the policymakers to understand what needs to be done. You need to convince them to do, hey, can we experiment in one street? One street. If it's successful on that street, let's take another street. What do we have to lose? It's one street and another street. But then you have a neighborhood. And if you have a neighborhood, you have two neighborhoods, and then you have the city. So you need to think small steps, narrow markets, but service and policy innovations rather than technology innovation. That's the only way to solve this issue.
Hello. Muito boa a sua palestra. Eu vou falar em português mesmo, para facilitar. Meu inglês é horrível. Eu gostaria de perguntar a respeito da evolução. Ao passo em que a tecnologia vai evoluindo, né? Tanto as inteligências artificiais, qual a sua perspectiva para uma cidade inteligente no futuro, em relação à arquitetura versus a economia e a sustentabilidade também dos carros e de toda essa tecnologia que está chegando atualmente? Principalmente na questão de mobilidade urbana. Você conhece alguma cidade, algum lugar que segue um pouco dessa proposta de sustentabilidade e tecnologia, que facilite, né, o trabalho e a mobilidade das pessoas, é claro?
I think the new city, I will start with the last question. The new city in Saudi, NEO, they will have a very interesting model for sustainable mobility. I think the first step is to stop talking about smart cities. Of course, I called it cool city, but cool city for me, learning and rejuvenating city. City is extremely heavy structure. And you cannot predict what technology is going to bring tomorrow. That's impossible. If I would stand here and, in the 60s and tell you about these magic things that is called internet, would have any of you predicted the narcissistic behavior that TikTok is bringing about? No. We cannot predict technology. We need to adjust to it. And you adjust to it by learning and rejuvenating. And cities needs to have rejuvenating economic model, rejuvenating operational model. They need to be very modular, and they need to constantly learn and evolve. Cities needs to be more like an organisms, like the structure that is now. That's why Goiânia is extremely interesting city, because it's a planned city, which gives you the ability to learn and rejuvenate, being developed out of necessity and not of a natural evolution. That's the only way of doing that, and patience, obviously, because it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens when good people come together and start to move forward.
Hello. First of all, great talk, very eye-opening. And I was wondering, because you talked a little about natural resources as a form of, energy, I was wondering, what do you think about nuclear energy? Because in Brazil, they have interesting technology and different from other countries. And
I think I can be very clear on saying that nuclear technology, fourth generation, is the biggest promise I've seen in any type of clean energy moving forward. Fourth, and I would say even fifth generation. I don't see any other solution except nuclear energy. But that's me personally speaking.
I have an idea that media is the biggest problem for, the progress of nuclear technology.
Media is a huge problem. Life is about balance. I mean, it's very interesting that they put windmills in Germany. I mean, are you going to command the wind to blow? Are you going to command the sun to come outside at night? I mean, they all need to be plugged into one system. And in order to achieve that balance, you need people from different industry cooperating. But the people that move the green agenda, I have nothing against solar and wind. I mean, it's great, but solar should not produce energy. It should actually produce hydrogen and water, because it's a much better conversion than energy to the grid. And nuclear fourth generation, I think it's the best technology we have as an underlying technology, where the rest can actually balance the peaks. But we are not living in a perfect world, and the media is biased, and everyone, so.
I agree, thank you.
Boa noite. A gente viu falar aqui muito da parte da tecnologia, uma chuva de informações chegando, muita atualização, tudo se modernizando muito rápido, tanto na parte de agro, nas cidades, o trânsito em geral. E há uma preocupação, assim, uma pergunta minha, de interesse meu pessoal e muita gente. Será se há uma preocupação com a parte humana? Porque com tanta tecnologia, a mão de obra, a parte humana, ela vai ficando de lado. E uma preocupação aqui que as pessoas, não tendo onde trabalhar, onde ganhar seu dinheiro para se manter, com a tecnologia chegando em muitos lugares, principalmente na parte do agro, há uma preocupação para que não falte trabalho e as pessoas não fiquem sem trabalho?
I agree. One of the hottest topics for the past few weeks was with OpenAI, labor market, what's the future of work, which works are going to be rendered irrelevant. Technology always took over a certain profession. I mean, I mentioned the dishwashing before. The first advertisement for the dishwashing machine targeted women and told them, hey, now you can have your free time. You don't need to wash the dishes anymore. What ignorance the advertisement have been to know that that was the only free time that the woman had during the evening, because the husband and the kids didn't want to be next to her when she was doing the dishes. They didn't want to help. Then they changed strategy and they says, but it washes the dishes in such a hot temperature, then it's much more sanitary. And that clicked. Technology always progressing. If you're looking about the amount of profession that existed before the industrial revolutions and after the industrial revolutions. I think what scares people today a lot is that technology is starting to take over certain cognitive functions, not just human labor. The only thing to solve that is to actually, I would like to see the city of Goiânia actually build a think tank and saying, that's the only thing we are going to tackle. How do we use digital technologies to make humans better, not replace them? I don't want an AI doctor. I want a better doctor. I want a better lawyer. I want a better teacher. And the only way to do that is to actually pass a policy that technology should extend cognitive functions, not replace cognitive functions. But it's an issue of money. It's like nuclear energy. So you need assertive decision makers and one hell of an education system to actually tackle this type of challenges. Can I go and have dinner?
Thank you very much, Eric. Oh!